Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike here at Gamefromscratch, and today I'm doing a video I didn't think I had to do, to be honest, but the amount of misinformation out there about this is pretty astonishing. That is that Unreal Engine are switching to a per-seat license model in 2024. And truth of the matter is, they are kinda, but don't panic. So, first off, I understand why people are worried about this with the whole Unity kerfluffle, we'll call it. So Unity tried changing their prices back on September 12th. They tried doing it retroactively and in a really greedy manner, and the entire industry basically smacked them down for it. I'm not going to reiterate that story. I'm just going to let you know that that's the climate that we are dealing in. So when Unity just sort of tried to retroactively change all their pricing going forward, it scared the industry, and I can totally understand that. So when there is an announcement from Epic Games of something kind of similar, you get a lot of Unreal Engine is no longer free, or Unreal Engine is subscription only going forward because of one particular interview. And I wasn't going to cover this, but truth of the matter is I've had enough people raise this to me, and I've seen enough bad takes on this already that I feel like I kind of do have to. So it all comes from this. This is a recorded by Immature, who is a Fortnite creative dev, and he recorded this session with Tim Sweeney. Now, I'm not going to play the entire thing. I will link this in the linked article down below, so if you want to check it out. But the key area that people are picking up on is around the 5.5 minute mark to the 6 minute mark. Now, the problem also is Tim is a bit of a mumbler, so understanding exactly what he says can be a bit of a challenge. But let's listen to what he talks about for pricing.
And so, our game developer business model we think is really sound. It's a business model designed so that we succeed when you succeed. And most teams, at paying any royalty at all, but ultimately, I think everybody comes to look at it as like we're all professional developers here, and the Unreal Engine team, if you're using Unreal Engine, it's kind of an extension of your team. And if you weren't paying us money for the engine, you'd have to hire really awesome people to build your own, and you'd be paying them too. And these would have costs for your business. And so, we think our structure for game developers is really sound.
So basically what he just talked about there is the 5% royalty. So that is the way that Unreal Engine is funded now. And he even mentions directly in there, a lot of developers don't pay them anything because they don't make anything. And he likes this business model because it's a we succeed when you succeed model. So there's nothing changing here. Okay, just clarify. That's exactly what he says. This is their existing model as it stands now. And they're happy with it. He literally says that. We're happy with the model we've chosen. So let's move on from there.
There has been a quirk of our engine business for a while that we're going to patch next year, and that's that.
So you probably didn't understand exactly what he said, but he says there's been a quirk of our business model, and we're going to patch that going forward.
We have an engine that's completely free for anybody to use, but if you're never shipping a product that's royalty bearing.
So this one is also hard to catch. He says, if you are never shipping a project that is royalty bearing, so basically, if you create a project that isn't ever going to be sold, so they can't make their 5% royalty off it. That's the situation he's describing here.
Then you never pay any money at all. This doesn't affect game developers, but one of the things we're going to change next.
Again, another key thing to point out here is he makes very clear this is not going to impact game developers.
Next year is for industries other than game development, such as the automotive industry and so on. We're going to move to a seat-based enterprise software licensing.
So there he's saying if you're in another industry, and the example he gave is automotive, they're going to move to a seat-based license going forward.
Model for Unreal Engine. And we don't have terms to announce yet, but this is just, I wanted to get this out in front of everybody for transparency. We're going to move to a model like that. It's not going to be unusually expensive or unusually inexpensive, but if you're going to be building a product outside the game industry.
So it doesn't help that he accidentally says if you're going to be building a game, because then it does add some confusion to the matter, especially when you add the mumbling on top. And then he clarifies, if you're going to build something outside of the game industry.
You're not paying royalty on it, then it will be a licensable piece of software like Maya or Photoshop or whatever.
So basically, he's saying moving to a per-seat license like what you would see in the world of like Autodesk, Maya, Max, etc., or Photoshop. So we all understand kind of the market he's talking about, but just to clarify here, from everything we just heard, and this is the extent of it, there's no new details being announced, but basically they are going to start charging for people that use Unreal Engine as a tool in areas where royalties will never apply. So if you're using it for architectural visualization, film production, or automotive concept design, that kind of stuff. Epic Games are currently making no money off of you, and I don't really understand how this isn't honestly being captured, but that is what this per-seat license stuff is all about. If you're using Unreal Engine and you make zero money with it, zero impact to you. Even if you use it in an environment, a non-professional environment, and you're making zero money on it, no problem at all. If you're working in game development, it's sticking to the straightforward royalty process, which basically is 5% royalty after the first $1 million earned, and yeah, that's the extent of this announcement. So yes, technically, Epic Games are moving to a per-seat license, but only for a very small section of their community. And in all honesty, it makes a ton of sense to me, except for it doesn't make any sense to me because I don't understand how this is a move. So right now, they have the standard license. This is the 5% royalty license, but they've also got this enterprise program for non-game professionals seeking... Oh, that's the deal. Okay, so that is why they're doing it. So right now, they do have this enterprise program, which is you're using Unreal Engine, and it's $1,500 per year per seat. So this is what I thought would be captured under it. And this is exactly what I think the change is going to boil down to. So right now, if you're using it in, again, architectural visualization, engineering, non-game interactive off-the-shelf products that have royalty-free distribution, etc., this license exists. The problem is this you only have to pay for if you need premium support, private training, or custom licensing terms. So right now, this entire segment is making Unreal Engine or Epic Games zero money. So that is the change. That is the extent of what is changing here, as far as I can tell, but they haven't announced terms yet. But what I'm imagining you're going to see here is they're going to get rid of this requirement here, and basically, if you are in a commercial environment not making games, you're going to have to pay on a per-seat basis. And it makes sense to me. If you're using it to make... it's really stupid that Epic created this structure in the first place because they've been pushing really hard to be in the film industry. It was used for pre-production in The Mandalorian as an example, and they've bought Twin Motion, and they're really trying hard to be in that architectural visualization space, but they've got no real monetization there because you only need to pay for it if you need support or training or custom licensing terms. So now it's going to basically change the enterprise program here so that if you're using it and you're making money off of it, but you're not making games, you're going to have to pay a per-seat license. And I have a feeling we have an idea what the per-seat license is going to cost because it already exists. So that is the extent of this announcement. It is nowhere near as scary as it sounds. And another aspect, and this comes up a lot and came up a lot with the whole Unity change, is people said, you can't switch to Unreal Engine because they could do the exact same thing Unity just did. And that is kind of true, but really not true as well. And this goes back to Spatial OS. This, ironically enough, was Unity did a change to their EULA years ago to block online services. And it was a really bad move. And ironically, this is when Unity came about and changed their terms of services so that it would be more transparency, so they couldn't pull this crap in the future, even though they literally pulled just exactly this crap in the future as it stands. But Tim Sweeney actually chimed in when Unity did this announcement back in 2019. And the key thing here is this line right here. We specifically make the EULA for Unreal Engine 4, and Unreal Engine 5 didn't exist yet. This should apply for Unreal Engine 5 as well. Apply perpetually, so that when you obtain a version under a given EULA, you can stay on that version and operate under that EULA forever if you choose. By the way, that ultimately ended up being sort of the approach that Unity took to their new runtime fee. It's only going to apply to 2023 LTS, but that was only after massive community backlash. This is basically, Epic Games have painted themselves into the corner. You can't make massive changes to, or you can't make changes to the EULA and force someone into them. So basically it boils down to, if you work in one of these spaces, if you're using it for engineering or filming or architectural visualization, etc., you can stick to the current version of Unreal Engine, grab all of the assets that you already own, and just stay there and not have to pay the new fee. Just something to be aware of. So this is only going to apply going forward, which is probably also why he's announcing it for 2024. But yeah, that is the story that isn't a story. So yes, technically, Unreal Engine is moving to a per-seat license, but it's only for a very small segment of the community, and it would really help if Tim didn't mumble when he talked, because then this kind of thing wouldn't happen. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know what you think. Comments down below, and I will talk to you all later. Goodbye.